We wanted a main overarching theme for our movie to be light and dark, or fire and ice. Basically, the meeting of opposites, which is why we have so much of this fire imagery throughout the movie. We used Friar Lawrence's soliloquy to flash forward to events that might happen in the future. You see here as he speaks about light meeting dark, we cut to clips of Romeo looking upon Juliet. And then when he talks about the dark cheering the night, we have them together. This is one of the ways that we used the words to parallel to the events that would happen in the story. Here, we wanted the contrast of a white rose, which typically symbolizes purity, to be turned into something darker or to be used for a more ominous use. We decided to use this camera angle at a slowed down rate to really emphasize the flower. We felt that using a mortar and pestle to show that the flower had been turned into poison was the easiest and most subtle way to communicate to our audience that that was what was happening to it. And you can see again, if you cannot hear it right now, that the parallels of Friar Lawrence's soliloquy to what is happening in the scenes right now really match. When shooting this scene, we made sure that almost everything in the entire scene was white, from her dress to the table to the powder, because we really wanted to emphasize the message of Juliet being pure, being the light, being white, even though and then again, contrasting with the idea that she is taking this poison, but everything is still pure and white. Though we didn't want to make this completely concrete, we maybe wanted to suggest that Friar Lawrence was seeing these images in his mind's eye as he was saying these words, which is why we have such ominous shots of him. I think that repeating those same angles with the beating of the music really helped to add to the drama of the scene, which is why we did repeat them. This wedding scene was really where we derived a lot of our ideas of the light meeting the dark and him prognosticating something happening. And then at Consume, which is our title, we have the fire again to symbolize the light and dark. Throughout all these fast-forward clips, we added a blurry effect to give the video a dreamlike quality. We had the clash of Tybalt fighting Mercutio as a clash of literal ice and fire, and I think that to really communicate, again, the opposites meeting. I really put a lot of effort into choosing the soundtrack for this because I wanted it to have the power of no words during Mercutio's death scene, but just the ominous music. In the scene before, you'll see that Mercutio's knife is completely clean, but we really wanted to use the same knife, but show it being bloodied with Tybalt's blood, saying that Romeo had taken the knife or dagger symbolically from Mercutio to use it to slay Tybalt. We overlaid a clip of fire again to really emphasize that Romeo is the fire, he is that opposite. We made sure to pan down from this religious scene to the cross, to Romeo, suggesting that there is a mighty power that is making these things come to pass. In most angles, Friar Lawrence is seen above Romeo, towering over Romeo, because we wanted to make Friar really be the higher authority to Romeo and show Romeo as a younger, not as wise character. Romeo is a irrational character, so we wanted Friar Lawrence to seem more in control and steady. So we often pictured Friar putting his shoulders on Romeo as if to calm him. We often wanted to show Romeo thinking of Juliet, literally turning away from everyone and just picturing and thinking about her, which is why he turns away so many times. Romeo's easily angered ways are shown multiple times when he pulls out his dagger to confront people, even though it may not be a very serious situation. Here we have this angle to illustrate again Friar being taller than Romeo and just that taller, more mature figure. As the dialogue gets more intense or the characters get more impassioned, we really wanted to have more movement in both of the characters, so that is why both Friar and Romeo have started to move because we wanted to show their annoyance. Having a pan from Romeo and Friar to the door really helps to show their immediate reactions to the knocking on the door, which is why we chose that. The reaction shots that Friar and Romeo have are to the nurse's speech is often confused, but we really just wanted to show the possibility of what Juliet could be asking for Romeo for. You'll see again that we've utilized the up above shot to show that the nurse and Friar are more characters of authority, and Romeo's always at the bottom or always being talked down to, it seems like in these shots. As you can see here in this next shot, Romeo is directly in between Friar and the nurse, and I thought this would be really symbolic to show Romeo being the division between the two houses. We are again using these above shots to show that Friar is using his authoritative figure. Right now, he is really giving encouragement to Romeo and is a godfather, if you were to use archetypal terms, to Romeo, and he is always above him and just telling him and giving him advice when he is at his weakest point, which is right now in this scene. If you can see, Nurse is not shown for a long time. This is because we really wanted to be a private moment between Friar and Romeo, to show that Friar is really just guiding Romeo and there are no distractions at this time. After Friar encourages Romeo, we just want a kind of return to reality and have again the nurse come back and him ground in reality, but then shoot back to and relate back to Friar Lawrence's soliloquy with that close up and have the fire again show up to really drive home the idea of fire and ice and opposites meeting.